Welcome everybody to another look at a new collector's edition of a, quite frankly, great film, and that is The Untouchables from 1987, directed by Brian De Palma, who did other excellent crime films like Scarface and Carlito's Way, but also did great horror films like Carrie, Dress to Kill, and The Fury. And this has only just been released, technically on the 6th of June, but I got it early, thankfully. And we're going to talk about the film a bit first, and then we'll look at the actual release itself. So this clocks in at 119 minutes long, cost $25 million to make, but made at the box office $106.2 million, becoming Brian De Palma's most successful film at the box office at that point in his career. But it would be eventually surpassed by Mission Impossible, which made more than 4 times the amount of that. And stars Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, Andy Garcia, and Robert De Niro, who are all on fine form. And it's about young Treasury agent Elliot Ness, who arrives in Chicago and is determined to take down Al Capone, played by Robert De Niro, and Agent Elliot Ness is played by Kevin Costner. But it's not going to be easy because Capone has the police in his pocket. Ness meets Jimmy Malone, a veteran patrolman, played by Sean Connery, and probably the most honourable one on the force. He asks Malone to help him get Capone, but Malone warns him that if he goes after Capone, he is going to war. And a lot of elements work really well in this film. Even though the plot and the script are a little bit safe in how they deal with this kind of plot, they are nonetheless really well done, even though they're playing it safe. And at the end of the day, you've also got an incredible score by the late, great Ennio Morricone. You've got solid cinematography, it is well paced. The 4 leads that I mentioned are really superb, and the rest of the cast is pretty good as well. The plot is engrossing, action scenes are well handled, with the train station scene in particular being incredible. Easily one of the best action scenes of the 80s, and it's also riveting in equal measure as well. And also really well shot, and the score by Ennio Morricone is pretty good as well. And there are some entertaining character interactions, especially in between Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. And Sean Connery, quite frankly, makes this film as good as it is, quite frankly. And for my money, it's his third to last great effort. He'd follow this up a couple of years later with the 3rd Indiana Jones film, and then The Hunt for Red October. But after Hunt for Red October, his career really wasn't as great as it had been on any of the films after that aforementioned film that I'd highly recommend. Although Dragonheart was decent, but he was only in a voice role with that. And I think it was Dragonheart anyway. And then Entrapment was decent, but then you had The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was pretty woeful. But this film is excellent, and I really do like this release. There's only one flaw with it, which we'll get to in a moment. But still, excellent release. You get a bunch of extras with it. You get art cards, a poster, and you even get a couple of replica props from the film itself. So you get the mayor's card there with the writing that he puts on it. It's a little bit hard to read, but if you've seen the film, you'll know what it's on about. Then you get the card from Elliot Ness himself, Treasury Department, which is nice. And then, like I said, you get the art cards. I think you get 6 in this, which are all really rather well done. Done in black and white as well to keep it period authentic, because it is set in the 1930s. And there's Sean Connery and Kevin Costner. There's Robert De Niro as Al Capone. And you can definitely see this as being a precursor to the likes of Goodfellas and Casino that Robert De Niro would end up going on to star in. So, very important film probably in terms of Robert De Niro's career, because it really did get him into the crime genre. Obviously, he'd been in crime films before this, like Taxi Driver and I'm struggling to think of another one, but you know what I mean. And then you get a poster, double-sided, so you get the standard poster that you see for the film on the one side, so with all the writing on it and the light, but then you get a more stylish poster in terms of the fact that it's only got the film title and everything else is just left to your own imagination. It's nice to see. Now, the only issues I have with this are the fact that the poster is quite thin, and the way it's packaged is quite iffy. You have to try and squeeze it in between the physical release itself and the cardboard. It's a bit iffy, to be honest. It's kind of curling up the edges of the poster, but the box itself is really nice and solid. And to top it all off, you get a really nice Steelbook edition of the film, which is really nice. It's, made to look like a whiskey bottle, and as you can see there on the bottom, it says aged 35 years to make it seem like it's a whiskey bottle that is aging. And yeah, love the bullet holes that are on it, and that's even emphasised on the back, which for once we don't have a lot of naff writing on the bottom. I know it says Paramount Pictures on the bottom, but outside of that, there's no excessive writing on the back, so you can use either side if you so wish, which is again nice to see. And it's on Blu-ray and 4K, so get the both choices that you want to see, and you've also got a nice image from the film itself in the inside. So really rather nice release. Yet to see it on the 4K itself, but the film itself is well worth owning, and I hadn't actually owned it before this release, so it was well worth getting just because it's one of my favourite films from the 80s, one of my favourite films from Sean Connery, Brian De Palma, and then you get all the little extras with it, and I'm sure it will look great on 4K. Most older films do look great on 4K, so highly recommend getting this release if you haven't got it already, or if you haven't got it on pre-order, because like I said, I got this a little bit early. But fantastic release, fantastic film, and finally glad that it's been given the 4K treatment. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.